Millions across the United States could face dangerous weather as severe storms, tornadoes, and flooding become increasingly possible this week. Today's precipitation pattern across the United States is showing a mixed setup. The heaviest and most organized rainfall is focused from parts of the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes, where scattered bands of moderate to heavy rain are developing. Some thunderstorms within these areas could produce brief downpours, reducing visibility and creating localized ponding on roads. Across the Central Plains, a narrow corridor of showers is stretching southward toward parts of Texas, with light to moderate rainfall expected through the day. The Southeast, including parts of Florida, is seeing scattered coastal showers, but widespread heavy precipitation is not expected at this time. Much of the Southwest and West Coast remains relatively dry, with only isolated mountain showers developing during the afternoon. Overall, today's precipitation is uneven, with many locations experiencing dry conditions between rain bands. If you are traveling through the Midwest or Great Lakes, be prepared for changing road conditions where heavier showers pass through. Looking ahead over the next 3 days, there is a growing concern that a stronger storm pattern could organize across portions of the central and eastern United States. If that system strengthens, it may bring widespread heavy rainfall, flash flooding, and repeated thunderstorms to several states. Residents should closely monitor future forecasts, as rainfall totals could increase quickly if this developing pattern becomes more organized. Today's wind pattern across the United States is showing a mix of light, moderate, and locally stronger winds. The strongest sustained winds are centered along parts of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, where wind speeds are noticeably higher and could create difficult travel conditions, especially for high-profile vehicles. Gusty winds are also affecting sections of the upper Midwest, while lighter winds are present across much of the Great Plains and central United States. Across the Southwest, including Southern California and the Great Basin, winds remain mostly light to moderate, with only isolated gustier areas. The Gulf Coast is experiencing a steady onshore breeze, while Florida continues to see moderate coastal winds. Overall, much of the country is avoiding widespread damaging wind today, but localized gusts may still develop near passing weather systems. If you have outdoor activities planned, secure loose objects and remain aware of changing wind conditions, particularly in the eastern states. Looking ahead over the next 3 days, weather models suggest the potential for a much stronger wind pattern to develop as a large storm system organizes. If this system strengthens, powerful wind gusts could spread across parts of the central and eastern United States, increasing the risk of downed trees, scattered power outages, difficult travel, and rapidly changing weather conditions. Residents should continue monitoring updated forecasts, as wind speeds could increase quickly if this system intensifies. Today's temperature pattern across the United States shows a sharp contrast between the hottest conditions in the south and cooler air across the northern states. The highest temperatures are centered along the Gulf Coast, where parts of southern Texas are reaching around 36 degrees Celsius, with nearby Gulf Coast communities remaining in the lower to middle 30 cents. Much of the southern plains, including the Dallas area, is also experiencing intense summer heat, with temperatures near 34 degrees Celsius. Across the southeast, including parts of Georgia and Florida, temperatures are generally in the upper 20s to lower 30s, creating hot and humid afternoon conditions. The Midwest is noticeably cooler, with Chicago near 24 degrees Celsius and Minneapolis around 28 degrees Celsius, providing more comfortable temperatures. The Northeast is also experiencing mild conditions, with readings mostly in the low to mid-20s. Across the western United States, temperatures remain moderate, although inland valleys of the Southwest are warmer than the higher elevations. Overall, the hottest weather today remains concentrated across the southern tier of the country. Looking ahead over the next 3 days, there is growing concern that a stronger ridge of high pressure could expand across parts of the central and southern United States. If this pattern strengthens, dangerous heat could spread into additional states, increasing the risk of heat-related illness, prolonged heat stress, and rapidly rising afternoon temperatures. Residents should stay hydrated, limit strenuous outdoor activities during peak heating hours, and continue monitoring updated forecasts for any heat advisories that may be issued. Today's humidity pattern across the United States shows a clear contrast between drier air in the west and much higher moisture across the South and Gulf Coast. The highest humidity levels are centered along the Gulf Coast, where cities near southern Texas and Florida are experiencing dew points around 25 degrees Celsius, creating very muggy and uncomfortable conditions. Parts of the southeast, including Georgia, are also seeing high humidity with dew points near 21 degrees Celsius, making the air feel much warmer than the actual temperature. Across the southern plains, including Texas, moisture remains elevated with dew points around 22 degrees Celsius, supporting a humid environment throughout the day. In the Midwest, humidity is more moderate, with Chicago near 14 degrees Celsius and Minneapolis around 20 degrees Celsius, resulting in a more comfortable feel compared to the Gulf Coast. The Northeast is experiencing moderate humidity, with dew points generally between 15 degrees Celsius and 19 degrees Celsius, while much of the western United States remains noticeably drier. Areas around Salt Lake City and the interior west are seeing lower dew points, providing a much less humid atmosphere. Overall, the highest humidity today remains concentrated across the southern and southeastern United States. Looking ahead over the next 3 days, increasing Gulf moisture could spread farther inland. If that happens, humidity levels may rise rapidly across additional states, creating an environment favorable for heavy thunderstorms, torrential rainfall, and localized flash flooding. Residents should continue watching updated forecasts, as moisture could increase significantly if this pattern strengthens. Today's pressure pattern across the United States is generally stable, with a broad area of moderate to high pressure covering much of the central and southern parts of the country. The strongest pressure is centered over the Midwest, where values near 1,019 megabytes around Chicago indicate a relatively stable atmosphere with limited large-scale weather development. Across the southeast, including Georgia and Florida, pressure remains between 1,015 and 1,016 megabytes, supporting generally calm atmospheric conditions. The southern plains, including Texas, are also under fairly steady pressure, around 1014 to 1016 MB, with no major pressure extremes visible today. In the western United States, pressure ranges from 1013 to 1019 MB, while portions of the interior west show localized pressure variations associated with the surrounding terrain. Along the northeast coast, pressure gradually decreases toward 1,000 and 8 to 1012 medians, suggesting a nearby low-pressure influence over the western Atlantic, but the strongest pressure gradient remains offshore. Overall, today's pressure distribution does not indicate a widespread intense storm directly affecting the United States. However, over the next 3 days, forecasters will be closely watching for the possibility of a strengthening low-pressure system developing near the central or eastern United States. If that system deepens rapidly, it could produce a much stronger pressure gradient, increasing the potential for severe thunderstorms, damaging winds, heavy rainfall, and localized flooding across multiple states. Residents should continue monitoring forecast updates, as pressure changes can develop quickly and lead to significant weather impacts.